Well, good morning, rising stars. It was really a pleasure for me and Moses to meet you at last night's dinner. And as I said then, we've been looking forward for the past year to welcoming you to the farm. And now you're finally here, the future leaders in electrical engineering and computer science. And I have to say, it's like my heart's fluttering a little bit to look out at this group of spectacular women. I've never seen this room full of women before, so this is really amazing. We hope you'll find the workshop both inspiring and informative, and that some of the connections that you make over the next few days with each other, with faculty, with other participants, will be your friends, colleagues, and mentors for many years to come. And we're extremely lucky to kick off the workshop with remarks from Stanford's 13th Provost, Persis Drell, who I have the great honor and privilege to introduce. Persis's accomplishments as a researcher, educator, and leader are both impressive and inspirational. She has deep roots at Stanford, growing up on campus before heading off to Wellesley College to study math and physics, perhaps somewhat influenced in her love of physics by her famous father, the late Sidney Drell. Not at all. Okay. We always think we're going to do the opposite of what our famous dads did. But anyway, he was a celebrated physicist and Stanford professor like Persis. Following Persis's undergraduate studies, atomic physics became her next academic passion, and she obtained her doctorate in that topic from UC Berkeley in 1983. After 5 years working as a postdoc at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, she joined the physics faculty at Cornell University in 1988, where she enjoyed much success and many accolades as a researcher and educator for the next 14 years. But fortunately for us, in 2002, Stanford lured her away from Cornell to join its physics faculty and become the director of research at the SLAC National Accelerator Laboratory. A natural leader, Persis was tapped 3 years later to become SLAC's deputy director, and 2 years later as the director of SLAC. She led the 1,600 employees at SLAC until 2012, at which point she returned full-time to the Stanford faculty. Persis was a visionary and transformative leader at SLAC, converting it from a relatively one-dimensional research entity focused on high-energy physics into a broad, dynamic, interdisciplinary, and highly successful research enterprise. When Persis returned to the Stanford faculty in 2012, she also returned to her academic passion of physics, and in particular to technology development for free electron lasers and particle astrophysics. Now, given that Persis had been a physicist her whole life, maybe not her childhood, but most of her life, I imagine she did not expect to become an engineer. But her transformative leadership at SLAC was well known to the Stanford president and provost, and hence they soon convinced her to try out a new leadership role that was quite different from anything she had done before. In 2014, Persis became Stanford's Dean of Engineering and the first woman and first physicist in this role. Now, I'm not sure which of these firsts were more perplexing to the engineering faculty at the time of her appointment, but Persis quickly won everyone over as the best person to lead our engineering school. She did so by taking the entire summer following her appointment to meet every single member of the engineering faculty to hear our concerns and aspirations for the school. After this listening tour, she created a collaborative school-wide process driven primarily by mid-career faculty to collectively create a vision for the school in education, research, and culture to address the major opportunities and challenges of the future. The process resulted in a set of 10 broad aspirational questions to inspire thought on the school's potential impact. They're all on the website, and I recommend you guys go read it because it's really a story about how engineering can have incredible impact. And in addition to the vision, she created actionable recommendations across all three of the vision's focus areas of education, research, and culture. For me personally, I was most grateful to Persis for her impact on the school in the area of diversity and inclusion. We all know that moving the needle on diversity is a Herculean task, particularly in engineering, and it does not happen without leadership at the top of an organization that truly believes and effectively conveys that the organization's success requires diversity of thought and hence diversity of its people. Persis not only embodied this thought leadership on diversity, but also initiated concrete actions and expectations that increased the diversity of our faculty and students and created a more welcoming and inclusive environment for them. In fact, bringing the Rising Stars workshop, and hence all of you, to Stanford happened under Persis's watch as engineering dean. Her quick success in the Dean of Engineering role soon propelled Persis to an even more challenging leadership position. In February of this year, Persis was named Stanford's 13th provost. In this role, she has already launched a collaborative strategic planning process with our new president, Mark Tessier-Levine. And while I and many of us are thrilled to have Persis as our new provost, we in the School of Engineering are sorry that her tenure as dean was so short. Nevertheless, she had a tremendous impact on the school during her tenure, for which we will continue to reap the benefits for many years to come. In addition to being our provost, Persis is the James and Anna Marie Spilker Professor in the School of Engineering, a professor of material science and engineering, and a professor of physics, where she still teaches undergraduates in her spare time. She has received many honors and awards for her work, including membership in the National Academy of Sciences and the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. She's also a fellow of the American Physical Society, and she was the recipient of a Guggenheim Fellowship and a National Science Foundation Presidential Young Investigator Award. On a personal note, she is married to SLAC accelerator physicist Jim Welsh, and they have 3 children. She's also an accomplished cellist and one of the best-dressed faculty members on campus, which means she really stands out among the engineers and the physicists. So, Persis, we're so grateful for taking time from your busy schedule to speak with these rising stars. The floor is yours.
Was a unique introduction. I thank you, Andrea. So I have to say I'm also just really thrilled to be here because I've also never been in this room when it was filled with women. And we were just discussing at my seat, it's different and it's wonderful. So I'm delighted to formally welcome you to this workshop. It's the 5th annual one. It's the first one here at Stanford. We hope very much it won't be the last one here at Stanford. Just a few numbers. There were 373 applications. We invited 70 accomplished women from across the country, representing 25 universities, 3 technology firms, and we are so pleased that all 70 of you accepted. So that's really fantastic. So welcome. I think it tells us something about the importance and opportunity that this event offers, and of course it tells us something about you. You are not only women who share an interest in computer science and electrical engineering, but you appreciate the value of mentorship and networking. And I think that's something that I probably was not as acutely aware of at the stage that many of you are at, and I'm glad you recognize the importance, because in the end, so much is about the people and the networks, and building a network of colleagues that you can call on when you have a challenging problem and you want some advice, when you need an introduction to somebody, when you're trying to recruit somebody and you need the backstory. That is so very, very important. And I think it's part of, it's something that maybe we have not emphasized as much as we have worked to build the diversity of our academic institutions and our corporate institutions. And so you got it right by recognizing that this was going to be important. And I think it's wonderful that Andrea and Moses and others have put so much effort into organizing this. You want to contribute to educating the next generation of electrical engineers and computer scientists, right? Yeah, great. Because when I look at you sitting here today, I see the faculty of tomorrow, and we need you. It really gives me great joy because you do represent the changing face of computer science and electrical engineering. There are many efforts underway to encourage girls from a young age to pursue STEM fields. But the number of women coming out of universities with degrees in electrical engineering and computer science is still too small. It needs to change. And it's really hard from the student perspective when they cannot see someone on the faculty that looks like them. Now, all students need inspiring teachers. They need positive role models. And it's particularly important in women who are pursuing fields where the professoriate is predominantly male. So I can speak from my own experience. As you know, I am a physicist. I grew up in a household with lots of physicists. They were all male, and I just want you to know, Andrea, that after taking high school physics, I swore I was never going to take another physics course as long as it was so bad. I mean, literally, it was the gym coach, okay? So, but I liked math, so I went off to a woman's college, as it happens, Wellesley College, to take math. But I'm a physicist because the second semester of my freshman year, I took a modern physics course, feeling that, as a mathematician, you should have a little bit of physics background. Actually, that's true as an engineer, too. I took a modern physics course taught by, I still remember her, Phyllis Fleming, professor that no research portfolio to speak of, but brilliant, brilliant teacher. She was inspiring. I was hooked. She is the reason I am a physicist. It was that simple. And we want our Stanford students to have that same experience. We want students at all of our academic institutions to have that same experience. Now, you've found your way into these exciting, dynamic fields of computer science and electrical engineering. Great, that's fantastic. Let me offer you a little advice as you go forward. Throughout your career, you're going to have to make choices. Okay, that's just part of life. And some of them are difficult. The best advice I can offer you is don't let others define those choices for you. The famous example I have is the person who advised that I should not start my family until I had tenure. Okay? Really bad, stupid advice. Doesn't mean that everybody has to start a family. You might not want a family. That's your decision. But you decide that, and you decide when you start that family. Don't listen to that kind of advice. Make your own choices and own them. I want to reflect that pursuing a career in a field that is dominated, if you're female, dominated by men, if you're a person of color, dominated by people who are not of color, it's challenging. It is an extra hurdle. I certainly felt that. Life isn't always fair. I went from Wellesley, which is a woman's college, to graduate school at Berkeley. Great place to do your PhD in physics, except the year I went there, I was the only woman in the class. Okay? It was actually a statistical anomaly. They were usually at least 2 or 3. And it really was challenging. It was challenging socially, but that also made it challenging academically. I've now been in academia for a while. I so have come to realize the importance of a wide range of backgrounds, perspective, experiences, and what that brings to academic excellence. And here at Stanford, increasing the diversity of our faculty is actually among our most urgent and important initiatives. And I frame it in these terms. If Stanford wants to be great a decade or 2 from now, we better figure out how to diversify our faculty, or we will not attract the outstanding young students that we are able to attract today. That's a very Stanford perspective, but I really believe that. I think it's particularly critical in fields like computer science and electrical engineering, where women and minorities are seriously underrepresented. Now, I want to emphasize, this isn't just about the right thing to do, about the moral imperative. It's actually key to what we're trying to achieve. It's key to our success, and I believe it's key to the success of the field. One last bit of advice, and I'm sorry to have to say this, but I think many of you, as you perceive your careers, will still find that you are in atmospheres and environments where you are in a disrepresented minority. Okay, that's a fact of life. Just always remember that the diversity you bring to the conversation is of enormous value to that conversation. So it's not about them having accepted and allowed you into the room. It's that they desperately need you to be in the room and what you bring. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, we're really proud to welcome you. You are the future of electrical engineering and computer science. And some of you, I hope, will see Stanford in your future and be part of our future. We're going to want to hear about your accomplishments, aspirations. We look forward to helping you navigate your journey to an academic career. Make the most of your 2 days here. Come away informed, motivated, connected. Tell us how to do it better next time. And thank you for attending the workshop, and congratulations on being one of our rising stars. Thank you so much.
We have a small gift for Persis, even though you might say she's a risen star. We have a tote bag and a small gift. So she has to run, but thanks again, Persis, for being here.